Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We're back. Boop, boop.
Good day.
Happy day. Happy day.
Happy day. So,
Mitch,
uh,
go
do
ahead.
what?
Nope.
Oh, I was gonna say spirit has an amazing way, and I say spirit because I can refer to spirit as God, creator, any of that kind of stuff because it flows in so many different ways. But like a week, so last Saturday, I had gotten disgruntled about something. There's been a lot of processing going on with me, so
Okay.
and it's great. It seems to be nonstop, and that's okay. And I got irritated and I was gonna so it was that so we had the Halloween stuff and then I was gonna get my hair cut that day or see if I could get it cut that day and she said I couldn't do it till later and I'm like, well, I'm doing stuff with the kids, so I can't. And so then she said, well, I could do it Saturday. And I'm thinking, I'm not, I want to go, I just want to go home and stay home. And then I don't want to do it. And it's like I'd brushed my hair and my ends were super dry and they were like catching my attention and I was irritated by that. And I was like, well, if you still have something open today or whatever, that'd be great. And I didn't hear from her, and then she contacted me, and I was like, just not, it was not even anything to do with her at all. I just felt this irritation, like I just had to go do something. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to town and get my hair cut. So I'm that was my motivation because it's I feel like when I say I feel like spirit motivates, I feel like sometimes they'll maybe create a little familiar something that gets me motivated to get me go doing something until I work on the opposite way, where I'm being pulled because I do that too. I might feel like, oh, I need to go here right now. And I get there and you run into someone. So there's those little things. But this one was getting me out of the house. It was like pushing me out of the house, push me out of the nest. So I go into town. It was the most amazing, beautiful. I could not have planned for anything like this at all. So she starts talking to me about God and how she's had an experience and all this stuff. And then she sends me this prayer. So Saturday I get home, I'm sitting outside, I'm feeling better because my hair feels great and she trimmed off just barely anything at all because she said it's not necessary. And she told me to put a teaspoon of honey and virgin olive oil together and then put it on that mostly on the ends and then bring it up. She says it will repair your hair, it does all this stuff. And honey, I do believe in a lot of that stuff. And so I'm sitting out there and I do this prayer. And then it's like after that, it's like it seems like it facilitated so many other things because something else happened on Sunday, which was relative to everything that like it was like going through this time. And then I heard that evening when I started to feel better that it was a reset. I heard in my head, I'm walking into a place and I'm hearing reset. Well, the next day I'm having my granddaughter out. She's going to stay the night, and I'm already depleted at this point, and probably should have said, not a good time, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings. And I know it feels good for her to be out here or whatever. So it's like putting myself aside and we'll do this and I'm okay, right? So I bring her in. She can't sleep at all night. We maybe got 6 hours of sleep. I didn't sleep at all the night before. And so, wake up the next morning. So still even less, I have less to give. So here comes Tuesday night. I'm walking into my room and because I'm not feeling good at all. I don't have any energy. I'm just kind of I not I am I feel like I don't have energy. The body feels depleted. The body is having all these experiences and I can't push it any further than it already is. That's the end of the story right there. As far as being able to do anything else, I knew that I couldn't. And then I still had to go to work the next day or whatever. Not had to. I got to go to work. So during that day, I come into my room and then I hear because the body's struggling. It's really struggling to even get up, go do things and everything else. So I'm walking into my room and I hear hard reset, and I'm like, okay, well, what does this even mean? Like, come on, people, like let's talk about this. When I've been having an example of it all week long. So it's paying attention to all these little details and knowing that everything's okay. I would even hear a verse in this from a song in my head the next day, letting me know that there's nothing wrong, everything's okay. And so having to sit in those spaces, um, it's not always been super easy, but so now I'm kind of trying to process this and I'm trying, as you guys can hear in my conversation, not taking this on, not taking on a diagnosis, not taking on a label, not doing any of that. Because I also recognize I've gotten messages that it's a hard reset, that I'm going through a major change right now, and I am, and it leaves you so lost sometimes and wondering why this is going on. But it's like I already know that's going on, and it's for me. It's not against me. So it's part of the journey, right? And that's where we kind of left off last time, where we were kind of going into like all this other stuff that I was doing. But it's recognizing all these things that can be so beneficial for this vessel. like changing your oil or adding some more oil to the system. It's the same thing. So that's kind of what I've been processing, because if I can make the vessel feel better, then I'm going to feel better, and I'm going to be able to move around and do the things that I want to do. But also knowing that I am going through a hard reset, and it's being patient. And so we started to talk a little bit about our monthly readings that we do, that we did our 12-month reading, and mine for the word on the side, and it was repeated twice, was patience, and then the next card showed patience again. And I was like, you can't make this crap. I know, that's my reaction.
You're like, mother trucker.
And then it says, release yourself from that which holds you back. Detox, unnecessary worry, and lack of self-confidence. You can free yourself with the help of God. What in the heck? And the angels, it says, but it's like, it said that stuff, and I'm like, I couldn't have made this up. That's why I say it's a freaking journey. It's a freaking journey. And when we do things like our papers, and we create these things, and it gives us information, I had no idea. I looked at that, I thought, patience, okay, whatever, and then it's like, it's just it's so beautiful. And then it says decisions and Archangel Jophiel or Jophiel. But it's like, you see all that stuff, and it's like, because I have a decision at this point. I can decide to stay in the space of a victim or in a space of a struggle, or I can kind of just let it all go, and I can figure out how to be in the now, which everything has led to that, to the next part, is to be in the now. Find books that talk about it, listen to podcasts, find out what resonates with you that helps you be in the now. And really simple, it's breathing. It's just being right now. It's used to say a long time ago, when you're driving down the road, oh, there's a red stop sign, there's a purple vehicle, it's acknowledging all these things, because you're bringing yourself present and not recycling the information, which we've talked about. If you're angry, you're stuck in the past. And if you're anxious, you're too far in the future. You're not right now. So those are all just indicators. And so, but we can get lost in those indicators sometimes, because I have. But it's not as long. Now it could be an hour versus several days, or maybe even some decades. I don't know.
Yeah, and that patience isn't always easy, because when that comes up for me, I think about, okay, I'm wanting things to move quicker than they are, and the universe has a different plan. They're like, no, these other things need to happen first before that happens, before what you want to happen. It's like, but I want it now, and to when I go back and think about it, it's like, okay, well, had that happened in my time frame, I wouldn't have handled it as well. And so there's sometimes other things we have to move through, or other healing to do, or another, mental healing of changing your perspective about things before the next thing happens. Even though we want it to happen so badly, internally, we're really not as prepared for it as we think we are. And I'll use the money as an example. Everybody, you think when you talk to somebody about their finances, usually the first thing most people will say is, well, if I had $1 million, it would solve my issues. And we know it's been proven that's not true. It's not true, because you haven't healed your mindset of, or shifted your mindset of, money and money issues and having lots of money. And most people who have struggled with money, financially burdened, all the things they have, money don't grow on trees, or it's hard to get money. You got to work hard for money. When you still have all that in you, planted in you, and you haven't done any healing around it, yeah, the $1 million is going to help in the moment. It's going to pay off all your debts. You're going to then go buy the luxury car, the big house. You're going to overspend, not put any of it away for future endeavors, and then end up way worse off. Has happened countless times with people winning lots of money in the lottery and all those things. So even for myself, like, I'm like, I just want, if I could just have $10,000 a month, that would be great. I'd be happy with that, right? My mindset and my internal um, thermostat doesn't match what I think I would want right now. I'll be honest though, I'm almost 3/4 of the way there to that $10,000 month, but my internal thermostat, my mindset, my belief system about myself, whether it's the confidence or anything, isn't in alignment with that $10,000 a month yet. And so I just keep working on myself. So, and it's not to go on the money tangent, it's just using that as an example for what we think we want or what we think we need. We wouldn't be able to handle it if we got it. So if I would have been receiving 10, I'm going to go back like 15, 20 years ago. If I was getting $10,000 a month with the mindset that I had at that time, I would not have been financially responsible because I wasn't in that mindset because of the idea that I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve to receive that kind of abundance. And so I would find ways to get rid of it. I did that with what I was earning at the time, which was way less than $10,000 a month, way less. And I would find a way to get rid of all of it because I didn't feel like I deserved it. So much growth for me to be where I'm at now, so much growth to internally be able to match what I desire. And we have to go through those motions. It's part of the process. And the universe is going to match us where we're at because universe knows, like, sis, yeah, we'll give it to you, but we're just letting you know, we know you're not ready for it, right? If we could have that conversation with the universe would be awesome, but really, it's like you said, like the sign symbols, the experiences that are showing up and the way we're handling, that is our indicator. That is our indicator, but we have to pay attention to ourselves and how we're showing up and the decisions we're making, even though we want something different or more. Well, where are you with yourself right now? And is it in alignment with what you desire? And so that's where the patience comes into play. And no, it's, I say it through words of wisdom, but even for me, it's still not easy. I'm like, but I want it now. And then it's like, no, because I'm not in alignment with it.
So hilarious. You say wanting something now and trying to push it or whatever, trying to control it, try to activate it. There's so many different things when it's just a journey, and otherwise it becomes the hard reset. It's not a gentle journey anymore. So it's like it's being okay with that. But I've pushed my buttons pretty well, so got myself all pretty tuned in. You brought up the money thing, and it's like for me, the other side of that money thing that's holding on to it. So mine was like for my experience was holding on to it and being so fearful that I was gonna end up spending too much or give away too much or do something too much. And so or it was gonna be taken away from me. So it's like all those things like that, but that's all inner child stuff. And that's
Yeah.
that's where the growth is. It's just taking that time. But how often do most of us sit to take that time with ourselves? We'll take time with our friends, but we don't always take the time with ourselves. It's very important to take the time with ourselves to kind of explore, well, why do I feel that? Maybe start writing the stuff down, just see where it takes you, see what comes of it. And then it's like you realize that the stuff didn't even matter. You know, Another thing I heard today was like it was talking, this person said, well, I don't remember, I don't remember my childhood. And he said, well, what if you've risen in a vibrational frequency that's higher than what your childhood was, and there was no reason for you to remember those memories?
I like that.
You're no longer in alignment with that. And I heard that and I was like, holy shit, that frees me up of that worry about what about the stuff I can't remember? All this, there's so many questions that I would have. My kids have questions like that too. And I forward this information for them, and it's up to them. It's up to them to listen to that if they're ready to listen to it. You know what I mean? Just like you took the initiative to start sending me um oh gosh, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank.
Esther.
Esther, yeah, Esther Hicks. Oh my gosh, and Abraham. This body, it's getting there. It'll be better probably next time you see it. But Esther Hicks, and it's like if you trusted your intuition to send that out to me, and even though at the time I was unable to receive it because I couldn't I was not able, I wasn't in that space yet, but you knew that I was going to be. So it was there. And
Yeah.
then you sent it again. And then I was in the space. So it's being okay with this journey, and it's listening to the stuff, and it's, and when stuff is off-putting to you, it's okay. It's okay. It's just know that that's not the direction to go right now or this moment. But it doesn't mean it's not going to change, because things always change because we change. But in that middle of that growth, maybe you couldn't do anything more than what you're doing right now. And it's being okay with that anyways.
And again, that brings in the patience for
Totally.
yourself first and foremost. Um, Patience is a huge, huge word, and it can be so frustrating
Yes.
when
Well,
that keeps popping up. Like 3 times it popped up for you, and you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna throw punch
these
somebody right
people,
now.
but it's also, so what if that, what if patience bothers me because it seems like a struggle, right? What would be
Yeah.
some, now I'm thinking about what other words or what other things could we say besides patience?
Ease, give yourself some ease and grace. I will
Oh, yes,
revert to
that's one I
those
love.
words.
Yeah.
Give yourself some ease and grace right now because you're still going through a growth spurt. And that's something I wanted to mention too, is like you said earlier at the beginning, that there's a lot of things happening right now that's making you sit and process some things. Those aren't your words, but if you go back to the beginning, it's along
Yeah.
those lines that there's a lot of things happening in this past week for you. And I always come back to that we get we reach a plateau where it's like that resting point. So like you've climbed the hill, so we've been climbing the hill of growth and expansion and healing and all the things, and then you get to a plateau where you get to take a breath. It's like, okay, we get to rest now. Things are going really well, way better than they used to be, and I just feel really good right now. And then who knows when, at what point, could be a week, could be a month, could be a year. Man, it just like bam, okay, here we go, we're gonna start climbing the hill again. And that's kind of like where I feel you're at, is you reached a plateau for a little bit, you rested, things were going well, and now let's start the climb again, because there's still more to do. There's still more growth and expansion to be had. There's still more healing to be had. And that patience is climbing that hill. That patience is just taking that one step in front of the next to get to that next plateau so you can rest again. And that's kind of where I see our healing process. It's like, because the universe to me, it's a co-creation, and the universe knows when we're ready to do our next layer of healing. And it may seem like a bunch comes at you all at once. It might seem like, okay, you get one blurb of something and you move through that, and then you keep going, and but sometimes it seems like a lot happens at one time, and you're just like, what the hell, man, why is all this happening? And then when you get through it, right, you reach the plateau and you look back and you're like, oh, yeah, I can see how it was so beneficial that happened, not only for me, but for my family, for the people I interact with, like all the things. Like it was so important for me to move through that, even though it sucked. Like, I'm going to be real, it sucks. It really sucks. It's
It
like,
really
this
does.
is not sugarcoating nothing. And I'm not saying this like it's easier said than done. No, it freaking sucks. I don't even like it, but I know, like I know there's something on the other side for me to be at, so that um it was worth the journey.
Yeah.
And
The
now,
fruits of the labor. Yeah.
when I look back, it's like it's always worth the journey to go through that chaos. It's always worth the journey to face the struggles. It's always worth the journey to, run into the wall or trip over the bump or whatever, and get the bumps and bruises and scrapes and stand back up and keep going, and then look back and go, wow, look at me now. Look at me now. I look in the mirror these days and I'm like, who are you? Because you are not the person I grew up with.
That's so awesome. But isn't that so awesome? That's so evolution right there. I love it.
Yeah, I say at least once a week, I look in the mirror and I just look at myself. I'm like, oh, like, wow. I'm just in awe of myself, of who I was and where I am and what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Even just the things that I'm doing these days. Like, where did you come from? Where were you? You were very, very buried in all the pain and struggle and strife and chaos. You were buried in that. And now look at you rising. And it's just like, I don't even, like, some days I don't even recognize myself. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Never thought I would be, but here we are.
And it's like you say, it's just remembering this too shall pass. This will pass.
It will.
And I have to remind myself, not have to, I do remind myself when I'm going through it. It's like, it's going to pass and you're going to be okay. And it's learning how to be someone else I talk to a lot. She's like, she feels like the universe is always testing her. So it's recognizing how you do in each situation. You might have a problem again, but your responses might be totally different than it was before. And that just kind of gives you, gives you clarity, and it helps you know that you're on the right path and things are getting better. And then that's where you give your power away when you're so mad, or when you're sad, and we just have a tendency to do that stuff, to overthink things, to think about a person over and over and over again because they did this or whatever. It's so easy. And then by the time you're thinking it over and over and over again, you've already changed the story 1,000 times. You've made it even much worse. Because now you can even feel it more. So I don't know, that's just part of the struggle that we kind of grew up with, I think, in a lot of ways, but it's learning to be okay with that. And it's learning to grow from that so that you're not in that space anymore. And then the other person doesn't have to be the person to trigger you any longer.
Yeah. And if you go back like a few years ago, I used to say that too. Universe tests us to see where we're at with ourselves, blah, blah, blah. And I switched that to indicator. Each
Yeah.
experience is an indicator of how well I'm doing.
Yep.
Now it's not so much of a, because when we use the word test, it's that, we've been tested all through school, and
Yeah.
people
I
don't
don't
like
like it.
tests because first of all, it's a the D's and the F's and all the things that says you're not good enough. Well, if the universe is testing us, and I feel like I didn't do so well, now I feel like I failed. Right now I'm going down
Yeah.
the victim side of things and beat myself up because I didn't handle it as well as I thought I could have or should have. Right, the shooting on ourselves. So I started shifting that to when in another experience. So you've had several similar, if you look back on your life, you've had several similar experiences, and each one you handle differently because each time you learn something. So when you have a similar experience again, it's an indicator of how well I'm doing and how much better can I get at this. So when it shows up again, because it will, how deeply am I going to let it bug me or bother me or make me mad or angry, or how deep down that victim side am I going to go? Or am I going to go, oh, okay, well, this is happening again. I've been here 1,000 times already in this lifetime. I think I got this one. I think I can move this through this one with more ease and grace. And then after that, once you get to that point where you're like, oh, okay, here we are again, whatever. I know how to go through this one. I've had this experience before, and I'm gonna be okay with this. I'm gonna survive. I've survived 1,000 times already. I'm gonna survive this one even better. And I'm gonna come out on the other side knowing that this is for my highest and greatest good. And I'm going to embrace the experience, and I'm going to enjoy the process, even though it might still suck a little. I'm still going to embrace the process because I know it's going to help me be better. And so when I get to that point, any similar experience after that, it's like a pebble, like a little tiny grain of sand compared to this giant boulder.
Yeah.
And
And that's reassuring too.
yeah,
Everything you just said is very reassuring when you're going through these processes, because if people do take inventory about their experiences, they will recognize they've changed the way they respond to things,
yep.
typically.
And it's just totally a mindset shift and how you're perceiving the experience.
Yeah. Because by you saying all that stuff actually helped me to stop for a second and recognize, wait, and so instead of me being so irritated, I spoke this morning and we talked about it, and which brought me into the now, but it diffused how I was feeling, how my rampage could have gone, instead of
Yeah.
how we would like to make a rampage. Is like when you do a rampage, you want to make it about all positive stuff and how amazing things are, and and lift your energy up. And it's like, and that's also another indicator. It's letting you know where you're at right now. That's all that stuff was. My vehicle letting me know that it's out of balance. If there's hair loss, if you're losing, I mean, just anything that you're recognizing within yourself, if you're having hearing issues or any of those kind of things, it's just recognizing it's not you, but your vehicle needs some attention.
Yeah.
So that means giving yourself that attention again. So very important. And it's not an easy practice. It's not, to me, it's not always an easy practice because it feels selfish. I caught myself the other night even saying that. I asked a question at home and I said, I said I was going to do something. I said, I kind of feel selfish about that. And he's like, stop and recognize where you're going with this, because that's not something to feel selfish about. That's something that should be happening. Because, I don't like to sit around all the time and not do things, but it's, you got to honor the vehicle. The vehicle
Yeah.
doesn't have fuel to go do it. You got to honor that.
Yeah.
And so it's like recognizing those things. And then still, it's for me, it's an opportunity for me to sit. Why do I feel selfish? Where does this feel selfish at? Is it really being selfish to take care of myself? Is it really being selfish to go in there? That's really not selfish. If we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else properly. We just can't.
And if you go back, I'm talking to the audience, if you go back and listen to us, any historical video, almost every single time we talk about taking care of yourself. And you can listen, because we've been doing this for over 5 years, and you can now listen to Bev saying she still struggles with it. Like every single time we're faced with something, that we're still questioning ourselves. And I still do it too with some things. I'm like, well, I have all this other stuff to do and I don't have time to go to the gym or take a bath or just sit and meditate. I got all these things to do. And so yeah, we still struggle with that too. I'm on that as well. Like I have detoured from taking care of myself in ways that would be very beneficial. I put it on the side burner because all these other things took precedence, timelines, deadlines, all the things. And it's been, okay, well, when I get through this, then I'll start doing this again, like what feels good. And no, I've had to really have a good conversation with myself over this past week as well. It's like, no, you come first. You have to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, it's going to show up in everything else you do.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. And then it's like you said, asking questions. It's even asking questions. How can I give myself more of that attention, or how can I honor myself more? Or what does that look like? I've even found lately that I'm questioning some, I mean, I do this when we've had conversations about it, but I'm questioning things like everybody's stuff. It's like, okay, well, that person had that experience with God or with whatever. That's not been my experience. Is that true? And so just questioning everything. And so it's just it's a good space. I feel like it's a good space for me to be in, because it helps me kind of look at things and explore things and then find out what answers are coming to me for that regarding all that information. So it's such an individual journey and there's so many different aspects you can look at it, how you can look at it and how you can process it and how you can walk through it. That's why it's so valuable to listen to all the information that's out here. It's out here. We're putting it out there. Everybody else is putting, there's not everybody, but there's a lot of people putting it out there. And it's valuable information. And if it catches your attention, just like me, I haven't been listening to anything. And then I see that I have a notification that Kyle Cease did a video. So I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. I'm not always like that, but then I'm getting nuggets for it. So that's how I knew that it was for me. It was for me to go listen to that.
So this is what I would say with the statement you just made, that that nugget, that nudge of Kyle Cease, that was an experience with God. That was an intuitive nudge to go do that. Whereas in comparison to somebody who had a different experience with God doesn't make yours any less than. It's the way they had to have theirs in order to feel that connection, where I would say you and I practice that like on a daily basis. We listen to our intuition, where we're listening to those nudges, we're recognizing that an experience is happening for us for personal growth and expansion. Like we've been doing this for a while. And so our experience with God or universe, whatever terms people feel comfortable with, is just different than somebody else's, although somebody else's might seem more amplified. It's because they needed that in order to get their attention. Whereas we're like, oh, okay, I'm getting this nudge to go listen to Kyle Cease. That's all I need. I don't need this
Yeah.
grandiose experience because I'm more in alignment now. Now, 30 years ago, when I was in deep depression, it would take some amplified experience to get my attention, to go, oh my God, that was divine intervention. Today, I'm like, oh, just go outside and sit for 15 minutes and see how that feels. That's my nudge. That's my in alignment with the universe. And it happens so often and frequently now, those things, that guidance, that I'm just like, this is really cool.
It really is. It really is.
So it
And
doesn't make your experience or my experience less than somebody else's who maybe had a near death experience and had, conversations with Jesus. Is like, or their loved ones. That's what they needed at that time.
yeah. And it's also, I mean, where I was coming from with that is like we've been told things that this is the way it is, and I'm questioning all those things. Like if they're telling me this is how you're gonna die and you're gonna go to hell, I'm questioning, and I already know that I don't believe in that, but I'm just questioning all that stuff, and I'm seeing what comes forward
Yeah.
for me in that experience, because we've been told so much stuff that I don't think that we've questioned a lot of the things that we've been told, and we think that that's the way it's supposed to be. And so that's where I'm at with the questioning of everything. It's even the stuff that we've been told about God, and it's like, well, that has not been in my experience. Is this the true? Is this true, God? Or because I'm asking questions to God about all this stuff too, to find understanding for self, for me and my journey, which obviously doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same for somebody else, but questioning all those things instead
Yeah.
of continually doing it, just continually thinking that's the way it is. It's kind of it's an interesting journey, and I guess I feel like it's kind of helping to lift some of the duality within self, because I might believe something differently, but we've been told these other things, and so I hold that as possible or as the truth, and then my truth is changing, so now it's making me have to question these other things, like everything.
Yeah.
So it's been just a interesting
And
journey.
your truth is different than somebody's truth who does believe it, that you could go to hell. Right. And
True. That's true.
so that's their truth for now. And it may shift in their journey on earth, or it may shift when they transition, or it may shift in the next life. Well, to me it will shift in there when they transition, but in the next life, earth life journey, um, they may have a different perspective. They might see things differently, right? Because each evolution, or each experience, we're evolving. So there's life, death, transition, life, death, transit. Like it's continuous evolution, and we can do that while we're still alive. And yeah, so and it's beneficial for us to keep asking questions.
Yeah. So you started talking about life and death, and I started thinking about what came to me yesterday, or was the day before yesterday. And I was talking to my sister-in-law about it yesterday. Is we think that we think I feel like when I start feeling like I'm missing my mom, or I'm missing Jim, or I'm missing my brother, that I don't think that, for me, from my experience, I don't think that we're actually missing them. I think they're actually right there, right then. So we feel like that's a missing thing. So now it's a matter of a process of interpreting it from a different perspective, instead of from a victim mindset or from a loss mindset or any of those kind of things. And I'm recognizing that it's just their way of saying they're right here, right now. And so it's just, for me, it's changing my perspective of how am I feeling this right now. Oh, I'm feeling sad. Oh, because Jim's right here, right now. I kept smelling this freaking hairspray last night. How weird. That is like the weirdest thing. Like, where'd he come? But I was with his sister too.
Nice.
Times I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm smelling this hairspray. I'm like, what in the hell? That's one smell that he's never brought forward before, but it was brought forward. So, and then it's like I smelled it again this morning. It was been a couple of times. So I was like, that's interesting, because nobody in this house uses hairspray. So it's kind of
It's
hairspray.
kind
It's
of
kind of
hairspray.
crazy. It's kind of crazy. but it's also, like I said, it's set up the next time someone's having an experience and they're missing someone, maybe stop for a second and recognize they're right there with you right now. That's why you think you're missing them, because it comes out of the blue for me. Like I won't be doing anything at all, and all of a sudden I could be standing in front of the mirror. A song could come on. Next thing you know, I'm freaking crying. I'm like, what the heck? Because I feel like I'm missing that person. I'm like, wait a minute, he's here right now. My mom's here right now,
He sent that
right now.
song to you for the
Hmm?
memories,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And he's
Yes,
coming up on his uh what's the date called? It's not the transition date.
angelversary.
Angel, thank you. Um, so that date's coming up too. So he's going to be
It
more
is.
present with,
It is.
hey, I'm here celebrating the holidays with
Yeah,
you. And
yeah. You're giving me goosies. But yeah, it totally is. And it's like I've also know that the interesting thing is I've also known that he's been around lately, and I feel like in a lot of ways, would the universe force me? I feel like I'm put into that place of meditation. I'm put in that place of quietness because the only way that I can find that peace is through that door into myself.
yeah, and it all takes patience.
Yeah. And that's why we say the last two videos, if anybody watches it, it's just the journey. This is the journey. And yes, it does take patience, or it takes grace and ease.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right, friends. I'm sure you got something out of this one. So, have these conversations, be resourceful, and share whether it's our videos or another podcaster or influencer or teacher, because everybody's seeking these answers and these guidance, and in some form. Not everybody's seeking this, but seeking information. They're asking questions and they're seeking the answers as well. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spreaker, Spotify, and Podcast Addict. So we're in many platforms. And do you have any final words?
Just paying attention to your intuition, because as you're watching this, someone's mind or someone's face or name or something is splashed in your mind. And that means it's to share. That's to share
Yeah.
it with that person.
Yeah.
And you can just, like a lot of times, what I do is I'll send it to the person and I'll be like, just use your intuition. If you're drawn to it, listen to it. If you're not, no biggie. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just it popped into my head that it was good for you. And I don't know what's best for somebody else, but I know that spirit will bring in things like that. So
Yep.
trust your intuition.
Trust those nudges. All right, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we'll see you next time.